Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for the invitation to talk about the work that we're doing at the RTW Charitable Foundation, but also in celebration of Rare Disease Day. Really proud to be here as a part of the team, but also learning from patients, from the patient advocacy groups that we're going to hear about, but also from the work of the physicians and scientists who are really working for a cure in Danon disease and other diseases. So thank you. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the work that we're doing at RTW. And as you know, and as you've heard so profoundly today, rare disease patients face significant challenges. One, in terms of diagnosis, we've heard how long it actually takes the diagnostic odyssey, 5 to 7 years on average. And also in terms of finding treatment. Or have calculated that of the 7,000 rare diseases, there's 6,700 that still require approved treatments. And then there's resources, the opportunity and the cost and the effort it takes to develop patient advocacy groups, create patient registries, create awareness about the disease, the cost of drug discovery and research, and the opportunity and the cost of actually treatment for their diseases. So resources are a huge part of the work that it is to be a rare disease family. And in all of that, rare diseases, while we've heard, they're not rare as an entire classification of diseases. They affect 10% of the American population and 400 million people worldwide. The ultra-rare diseases, in particular, as well as all rare diseases, are typically underfunded, both by the private and public sector. And therefore, a huge degree of the population is underserved by much of the work that is done. And therefore, at the RTW Charitable Foundation, our mission is to power rare disease research, medical innovation, and humanitarian collaborations to improve the lives and the health of underserved communities. And how do we do that? We have 3 key pillars. One is research, then policy, and community. In research, we've really thought hard about the work that we do at the foundation and what our skill sets and expertise and capital can provide to rare disease research. And we are focusing on advancing research to develop therapeutics for rare diseases, for the ultra-rare diseases. In policy, we're committed to communicating the value of medical innovation. And in community, fundamentally at our heart, we are humanitarians, and we want to support our local communities here in New York City and abroad. Just to give you a bit of a flavor of what we've done over the last year, I'll tell you a little bit about our accomplishments and then tell you where we're headed to as we're moving forward. So in 2021, we had the privilege to grant $1.4 million in 6 different rare diseases, as well as 2 genomics diagnosis projects. And importantly, those genomics diagnosis projects were in developing countries where there's a huge unmet need of underdiagnosed rare diseases. We also launched our own internal research institute, and we're focused on developing gene therapy for Christensen syndrome. For policy, we are focusing our policy institute on medical innovation. And it's really about increasing public and private financing for medical innovation to really drive novel technologies. The last decade has seen such an incredible surgence of gene therapy, ASO, siRNA technologies that are quite uniquely suited to treating the genetic basis of many of these rare diseases. And so it's really about communicating that, having people understand it, getting the funding that we actually need to do that at both a nonprofit level, but also at the biotech and pharma level. And then finally, before I actually get to community, I will just pause here. We're really excited and proud to announce that we're creating a rare disease advisory board. This is created to advise us at the RTW Charitable Foundation about focus areas and opportunities that we should be working on. It's also to engage in thought leadership on science and initiatives, to actually help patient leaders be advocates and direct change in their communities, and share and contribute shared experiences not only with rare diseases, but about innovation that they're the benefit of. So nominations and applications for our Rare Disease Advisory Board are open, and I invite you to go to our website. I'll put the link up at the end. If you know of anybody or would like to nominate anyone, or folks at home on Zoom would like to apply for our Rare Disease Advisory Board, we'd love to hear from you, even if it's just a chat. So community. We are good citizens of New York City and abroad, and this year we actually funded $1.25 million in humanitarian grants. We focused it on COVID relief because that was our greatest need in the city and still is. And we are really proud to have done the work focused on local communities, health security, vaccine access, housing security, and violence prevention. And finally, we also, in the community aspect, have an employee matching grant at RTW. So a number of my RTW colleagues are here today. So I'm putting out a challenge for all of you, and also we're going to share it back home. Our foundation does an employee match up to $5,000. And so I would encourage you, everyone, on this Rare Disease Day to please contribute, donate to a Rare Disease Foundation, and we will match it at RTW, at the foundation. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're developing therapeutics for rare diseases, and our first project is to develop a gene therapy for Christensen syndrome. So there's many key challenges, as you know, in developing therapeutics for rare diseases, and one of them is the rarity of the disease itself. So I know a lot of the work that you're doing here is developing patient advocacy and patient registry groups, and that is actually one of the grants that we funded last year to Dr. Eric Morrow at Brown University, who was actually understanding Christensen syndrome and the natural history, developing biomarkers so that once we develop a gene therapy for Christensen syndrome, we will be able to run and support the clinical trial. And secondly, we're collaborating with Stefan Pulst at the University of Utah on developing a gene therapy for Christensen syndrome at our own research institute here in New York City. So we're very excited about that opportunity and look forward to increasing and developing more therapeutics as the Research Institute and our foundation evolves. So finally, developing a new treatment or a drug is incredibly challenging. It's incredibly challenging if you work in pharma, if you work in biotech, and if you're working in the nonprofit space, it's even more challenging to access resources. And in the nonprofit space, we can do a lot of preclinical drug development, but as soon as we get to the cost of manufacture and clinical trials, they become enormous. So clearly something has to change for us to develop and start to developing bespoke, therapies for rare diseases and the ultra-rare diseases. And one of our strategies has been to join the newly formed Bespoke Gene Therapy Consortium that was founded by the Foundation of the National Institute of Health. This is a partner with the National Institute of Health, a number of pharma, biotech, and nonprofits. And essentially, we are working to create tools in order to streamline gene therapy drug development. And we're also to reduce the cost and the timeline for developing gene therapies. So this is a project that will run over 5 years, and we really hope that part of this work will start to develop a toolbox for bespoke gene therapy for the ultra-rare patient. And so finally, I just want to close by the fact that we are driven by a vision at RTW. We're very courageous. We're inspired by from the stories such as yourselves. And our vision is really to work towards a world free of ultra-rare disease. And I think Eric said it beautifully at the end of the round table, is that we must do that. It's a mandate. That's what we stand for, and that's what we're driven to do. So contact us, please, rtwcf.org. On our website, there's a box for inquiries. If you're interested in the Rare Disease Board opportunity, please find me here or chat or submit an inquiry to the RTWCF. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Happy Rare Disease Day. It's such a privilege to be here with all of you. Thank you.
And now, please welcome Amy and Jenny from the Danon Foundation.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us. I'm Jenny, I'm Amy Atkinson.
Kim was not able to be here, but she's here with us in spirit, and there's a quick video that she recorded to tell a little bit about her story. I guess what I'd like to do is just start off by doing quick intros of myself, Amy, and Kim. We all represent Danon disease, and we have very, very different stories despite having, experience with this rare disease. So with that, I may just start with Kim just because she is not here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kim Marincik, and I just wanted to introduce myself. I wish I could be there in person, but my youngest son, who is 16, is on the heart transplant list as a 1B, so I have to stay close to home. I will hopefully be there next year in person, but for now I just wanted to send a video and give you guys a little reason why I wanted to start the foundation. Back in 2005, when we were diagnosed with Danon disease, my whole entire family has Danon, and we had no support. We had no way of knowing if there was any other families out there. I reached out, couldn't find anyone, any groups. So in 2009, a couple years later, I started the Facebook support group. And with that led to meeting so many wonderful families that have Danon. I have made amazing friendships, and some of you I have not even met, some of you I have. But the most important thing was community. And my hope was that myself and my kids would meet others like ourselves. And by making this foundation, it gives us that opportunity to help other families that don't have anyone or don't have doctors or specialists, that they can turn to. Maybe they turn to the foundation and reach out for help there. My goal was to really just connect families, not only through the support group, but also our foundation. So, again, I just wanted to pop on and say hello, and I miss you guys. Wish I was there. Next year I definitely will be. Mason will get his heart. I know that. It's just a matter of time. And Liam will be much better. And yeah, we will be there. So I hope you guys are doing well, and we will see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
I hope I don't mess this up, but I'm going to put number back.
Okay. So my story's a little different. My daughter Delaney was diagnosed with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy at the age of 4. A female doesn't get the disease that early. Her Danon diagnosis was a year and a half later. Sorry. I promised I wasn't going to cry. Delaney's still the only known patient in Utah with Danon disease. I remember reaching out to Dr. Taylor, and there was no support. There's no support system of finding other families. We had an amazing cardiologist that kind of overseen everything for us and for our family. In 2018, at the age of 11, Delaney had a major stroke. That rushed her symptoms of Danon significantly. She was placed on the transplant list while recovering from her stroke. She was a lucky one. She got her new heart on September 20th of 2018. But her body wasn't ready for that heart. She had an amazing heart, and 6 days later, she didn't wake up from surgery. So my fight is to be able to recognize Danon, to be able to bring the patients together, to be able to know that you're not alone. When Delaney had her stroke in June of 2018, I found Kim's Facebook page. You know, the Danon family was my rock, my support for that 3.5 months. They still are, you know. For me, I don't want another parent to not have that support. I want them to be able to pick up the phone, find Facebook, find something, and not be alone, you know? And for me, I'm gonna go back to the females. You know, females with Danon usually don't get Danon until after puberty. You know, Delaney was a lucky one, you know, but she was rare, she was unique, she was amazing, and that's my fight.
I haven't even started to speak yet, and I need a tissue. Thank you. So, I can't even. So my story is quite different from Kim's and quite different from Amy's, and I think this is exactly why you've heard today that it is so important to study all of Danon patients, right? The females are this great unknown. So I was diagnosed through genetic testing. I have this very strange backstory. I won't get into too many details, but I was genetically diagnosed with a LAMP2 deletion. And there was really no reason that I needed to be diagnosed with Danon. It just kind of was a fluke. And when I was diagnosed, my genetic counselor said, go see a cardiologist, go get your daughter tested, and that's pretty much all the advice I had. And so I went to Dr. Google. Dr. Google told me, hey, you're lucky to be alive, so be happy about that. And at my age, and I'm not going to tell you guys how old I am, but you know, and so I did. I took myself to a cardiologist. He did a full workup and told me that I had the healthiest heart in his clinic, and I said, cool. I took my daughter to a pediatric cardiologist, and she got a workup, and she was fine too, so I was like, okay. I waited 3 months for an appointment with the one of two pediatric geneticists in my state, and it took me 3 months, got her in and got her tested, and she got my good X chromosome. And so with that story, I felt very fortunate, and then I just did the most responsible thing I could do and just ignored it for a couple of years and said, I'm good. And then, you know, my daughter was about 1 year old at the time. So I said, all right, move on with life. And then as I thought about building my family, she's my oldest, and then I thought about the future, I said, I should probably do something about this because there's so much unknown, the little research that I did do. There's so much out there that is still unknown, and I have to do something about this because I want to be there for my kids one day, and I don't know if tomorrow I'm going to be diagnosed with cardiomyopathy or what. So I said, okay, let me reach out, let me go back to Dr. Google, and Dr. Google led me to Dr. Taylor, who led me to Kim, and who led me to Amy, and the rest of the community. And from there, we had discussions, and to be honest, I was really just in awe, and I was impressed with the level of understanding of Danon disease. I read the papers online, I did my research, but when I spoke with Kim and Amy and another mom who, I won't say her name, but I learned from her that just by her own research, she had 70 written notebooks of research that she had done by herself. And I said, can I have those notebooks? And she said, send someone down to scan all of them and you can have them. But I was just incredibly inspired. And so after speaking with Amy and Kim and a few others, we decided that this needed to be something formalized as a foundation. And so here we are today. And And I would say that, I am a big believer in science. Science gave me my family, and we're here today, and I can live with comfort about knowing that there's hope for the future. So I'm just really grateful to be here and have this story to share, and just to emphasize that between me, Kim, Amy, Dawn, and Barbara and their story, there are so many people out there with Danon that are living very different lives because of the way the disease impacts your life. But there's one common thread, which is our community, and it is very humbling to stand here with Dr. Danon and all the experts in the room, and then all the people at Rocket who are really working towards this gene therapy. I know how hard it is to do that work, so I am really grateful for that. So with that said, as I guess I spoke too long that it went to the screensaver up there. There we go. Who we are. It's a lot of words on the page, but essentially what we want to do is build trust in the community, and this is about getting the right information to the right people, especially when you're first diagnosed. I never want anybody to go to Dr. Google and get scared and run away, because that's exactly what I did. And it's part of building the community as well, right? So you're not alone. Rare disease is rare, but you're not alone. And so I think we've heard that theme quite a bit throughout the day. And then the last one, which is more of a little bit of aspiration, but a little bit of a challenge and a little bit of hope all mixed in together, which is we want to be a partner, and we want to be your friend, and we want everybody in this room. I mean, what better way to get the experts, the gene therapists, the advocates, the patients and the families all together in one room to collectively build a better tomorrow. So we are really excited about the foundation. We just launched in October, and we know we have our work cut out for us, but we're really excited to see what tomorrow brings. I've already touched upon this, but one thing I do want to emphasize, I think, Dr. Greenberg, you mentioned this and a couple others. It's about living with Danon disease and what your day-to-day life is like, but there's such a big problem today with getting an accurate diagnosis. I'm an outlier, but I think in terms of some folks who have lived with disease and have wondered and tried to scour the internet and push their physicians into getting them a proper diagnosis, I think there's so much work to be done there. And then we want to go, we want to be supportive of all patients and families and caregivers all the way through their treatment and hopefully a cure one day. I'm very inspired and hopeful based on what we've heard today. So yeah, that's a little bit about us. And then, what's important is what we're here for. And as Amy said, and Kim, we want to be a support for the community. And so first and foremost, our first task is to get the information out there so it's a little less scary. It can feel very daunting to be diagnosed with a rare disease and wonder why it is what it is, and what to do next. And so we're trying to put the information out there in a simple format that isn't completely overwhelming. We want to offer support and resources, so we're trying to build our foundation in a way that we can support patients and families, and that remains to be seen exactly what that looks like, but we will be moving forward in the future, and we know we have a lot of work to do. We will be trying to keep up with the latest news, so I look to all the experts in the room. Please let us know when you have updates so we can share it with our community. And yeah, we want to help connect the community and then partner with you guys all on the next big thing, whether it's sharing information, education, and hopefully one day a cure. So I don't know if you can see this, but we have some cards around the room too, but visit our website. Please send us a note, give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you. And most importantly, yeah, I mean, we're just getting started, so we're humble and small, and we're willing to take all the help that we can get. And so with that, a little bit of a plug here for us, but help us spread the word. So follow us on social media, share posts, get us out, help us spread the word about Danon disease, and we'll do the same. I think the more people that know about it and don't associate the disease with the yogurt would be great. I'm sure we've done that a number of times, but yeah, and then get involved. So we'd love to hear more stories. You've heard some stories today from Amy and Kim and Dawn and Barbara and others. I think it's so important and impactful to hear what it's like to live with Danon, and not just from the treatment standpoint and the diagnosis, but what is day-to-day life like? I think we mentioned some IEPs and what it's like to be in school and how to deal with that. And there's just so much more complexity around the day-to-day life around Danon that it's really important for us to hear from our community. And we're going to start putting more patient stories out there just so people can hear about what it's like to live with Danon. Partner with us. So if you have ideas or things that you want to get out there and that we can be supportive of, we would love to partner with you. We've found a couple of other organizations that have similar goals, and we're starting to do some work there. So we'd love to do that with Rocket and our friends here. So please consider that. And I think the nice thing about being a fledgling organization is that you have a big white blank piece of paper and you can do whatever you want with it. And lastly, donate, but consider participating in any fundraising. We're not quite there yet, but we are thinking about what to do next. So please spread the word. And again, I think this is a really unique opportunity, and we're really grateful to be here. The fact that there's so many experts, people that are really passionate about Danon disease. You don't find that in rare disease, and you don't get to sit in a room with them. So please let us draw on our collective experiences, and let us, as a foundation, we really want to bring all of that together so that we can help support the community in a way that they've seen tidbits of, I think, through the support group and what Amy was describing, but I think there can be more, and there's a next level of that. So with that, I will close it out, but thank you again for your time. I guess one last thing is, and I'll leave you with this, I'm just really glad that my name, there's no disease named after that, because nobody would pronounce it right. It's Hsieh, just like it's spelled. Thank you.
Our next guest is joining us virtually today from the National Organization for Rare Diseases. Please welcome Debbie Drell.
I really wish I could be with you in New York, not just because I love the city, but because I love all of you. I spoke at your event last year when it was totally virtual, and it was a very fun experience. It's an honor to celebrate Rare Disease Day with all of you. And it's not my first hybrid event, but I really loved seeing the room with everybody in it, with all the shirts, and I miss that. Hi to Jenny and Amy. Sad that I can't be there. And I love hearing the origin stories of the Danon Foundation. I'm also praying for Mason as he awaits heart transplant. So I'll tell my story. Of course, obviously, this opening slide is our big campaign, which is today, huzzah. My sister, Alex, she's my best friend. I was 21 when she was diagnosed. She was 28, and doctors told her she would be lucky if she lived to her 30th birthday. So they gave her 2 years to live. And they said she was lucky to get diagnosed. And at the time I was in college, and I told her, 21 years old, I didn't know that much about life, but I said, you know what, if you're going to die in 2 years and you have 3 small babies, little girls, I don't want them to grow up without a mother figure. And she lived in this tiny town of Texas, which would have been a great sacrifice to me, not just quitting college, but going from Southern California to this very rural town in Texas to raise her kids. And she said, God has a plan for me. And she didn't let me quit school. Thank God she didn't. But I didn't know that there was a nonprofit for pulmonary hypertension for her disease. I didn't know that people were doing work to advance research. I didn't know what that even meant. I didn't know how drug got approved. I didn't know how much time, according to Faster Cures, it takes 15 years and $1 billion to develop a drug. And even still, and that's a lot. And I didn't know that there was a community of patients really pushing for drug development. I felt so powerless when she was diagnosed. The only thing I could really think of in my 21-year-old mind was writing a letter to Congress. That's all I knew. And I didn't even know if I did write a letter to Congress, what I would actually say or how they could help. I just didn't want her to die. I didn't know what to do. And prayer was not enough. What happened, though, the year that she was diagnosed was the FDA approved the first treatment for her disease. And even today, that was a miracle, but even today, only 5% of rare diseases have treatments. So in effect, we are the lucky ones, and yet we still have this very difficult road ahead of us. And she had a very difficult road. And it wasn't luck, though. The doctors are like, you're lucky you got diagnosed. She saw 12 different doctors. We didn't feel lucky. And that part of that was she was in a rural town. They didn't have access to the medical care. She had to drive 4 hours to go see a specialist. The doctors had never seen anything like it. We talk about the zebra because the zebra is this medical zebra. It's a concept that was taught in the 60s in medical textbooks. And if you hear hoofbeats, you tend to think horses, but sometimes a hoofbeat can be a zebra, which is a rare disease with a common symptom. And so she was misdiagnosed repeatedly. The fact that she was a young woman, the fact that she's Mexican American, and it was a very small town, predominantly white, there were some areas in there where she felt discriminated against. Lose weight, they told her, 28-year-old woman who just had 3 babies, lose weight, it's stress, it's in your head. And they even gave her, antipsychotics. She was having grand mal seizures when she was diagnosed, and then they said, you're the lucky one. You got diagnosed, you're the lucky one. You got a treatment. The treatment was really difficult for her. It was expensive and it required refrigeration, and we're the lucky ones. But it wasn't luck that there was a treatment for her. NORD, and I didn't know anything about NORD. And I work at NORD now, but this was 1998. So this was before the internet, really. It was before social media. And in 1983, let's go way back, NORD just barely existed. And NORD was created to fight for all rare diseases, introducing the Orphan Drug Act in Congress. And what that did was incentivize drug development, because rare diseases are called orphans because there was no home for them. There were no, mom and dad, there were no parents, there was no investment. And it was really hard because the paradigm is, clinical trials, multiple sites, but in urban areas, large scale patient populations participating, and you have a disease that has 100 people or a disease that has 1,000, and at the most 199,999, the definition being under 200,000. So very small populations, it's not worth the return on investment for someone who's pumping in, $1 billion in 15 years to develop a drug. So we had to incentivize that. Policy changed the paradigm. And as a result, we went from 33 treatments to now over 500 treatments for rare diseases. And that's what NORD has been doing since the origins. Like, that's how NORD came to be, was that one rare disease community could be a small population, but when you bring us all together, and it was mentioned earlier, when you bring us all together, we're 30 million Americans, we're 300 to 400 million around the world. And that's significant. So when we come together, that's sort of our mission, our mantra, our modus operandi. And so in the background, my sister gets diagnosed, there's a treatment available. And I said, I don't know about NORD. NORD is incentivizing drug development. And then in 1992, patients are writing letters to NORD trying to find each other. And those patients found each other. So just like the Danone Foundation, where they found each other on Facebook in the early 90s, they had to write letters, but NORD helped bring patients together. Those patients started a nonprofit. That nonprofit allowed researchers to come to their patient conference to draw blood. One doctor said that in the 3 days of that conference, he drew enough blood for the amount of work that he would have done for his research in a year. In 3 days, bringing patients together. Very powerful what patient advocacy can do for drug development and research. That is the reason why my sister's alive, because patients wrote to NORD, found each other, got involved in research and drug development, pushed for those treatments. I didn't know any of that. 1998 happens and my life explodes because my sister's going to die. And then there's a drug and it saved her life. And so NORD, established in 1983, leading umbrella organization, fighting for 1,200 nonprofits. And when there isn't a nonprofit, we want to support and help those who do start nonprofits. So I just wanted to make that connection during Rare Disease Day, that every story is powerful. And there's a lot that we don't know, that I didn't know, that people don't know, that goes into drug development. But the patient-powered role in drug development and research is so important. So let's go to the next slide. Also, can you guys please mail me that shirt? I love those shirts. Okay, so anyway, so I thought, write a letter to Congress. That's what you can do. I didn't realize that you could do so many other things. If an organization exists, support them, donate, give, share your ideas, volunteer, get involved locally, tell your story to public, to the media. Today is the big day. And I know I'm speaking to a crowd of amazing Rocket staff and rare disease advocates, all of you. You have a story to tell. Share your story. Tell about rare diseases. We have a tweet chat today from 6:30 to 7 p.m. Eastern time. And you can go on Twitter and just follow the hashtag RDD chat 22. So Rare Disease Day chat 22. We were also featured in Lifetime Television. You can go visit our website and use or you can go on your own social media and use the hashtag Show Your Stripes and Rare Disease Day. If you've never done this, I highly recommend just saying, I work at a company that supports rare diseases. I work at a company that is no longer orphaned. There is a home, and the home is here at Rocket. Share your story, tell the story. Because it's 1 in 10 Americans, you never know. When I'm out in the public, grocery store, whatever, wearing a mask that says rare diseases, NORD mask, or a NORD bag, people start talking to me about their rare disease. And if you do this on social media, you'll be pleasantly surprised when you talk about rare diseases, how many friends and family members may have a connection that you just didn't know. We're highly encouraging people to share your story. We had a contest for our member organizations. We had an event earlier today. Sean Astin was one of the speakers who played Samwise Gamgee on Lord of the Rings. So I was fangirling and nerding out to that. And just, it's really, Rare Disease Day is an opportunity for us to unify our voices, 300 to 400 million people around the world, in a way that's meaningful. Get the hashtags trending, tell people that, if we normally don't talk about rare diseases on our social media. We have resources on our website to share your story that you can download, graphics. And if you're, feeling up to it, get a group of your friends. You've got your shirts. Go take a picture outside of the Empire State Building. Go take a picture, which will be lit up. And actually, thank you. There's a slide about that, but thank you guys for all that you did. You really helped kick the Light Up for Rare campaign. Next slide, please. So show your stripes, grab your friends. You're in New York. There are so many photo ops, Times Square, wherever you want to go. If you have one of these little guys, you can take a photo op or just take a picture and then use the hashtag Show Your Stripes. Use the hashtag Rare Disease Day, put it on LinkedIn, put it all over the place, and just sort of spread the word and encourage people to learn more and connect and help really generate the hashtag activity. Next slide, please. We have a lot of stories. You can do this tonight. You can grab a piece of paper and just write, I show my stripes for my sister, my brother, my friend, my colleagues, for the whole community, for Danon patients, whatever you want. Post it, use the hashtag, and you will end up in a feed with thousands of other people sharing and watching that hashtag. Next slide, please. So Light Up for Rare was really a rocket fueled. You guys really put the rocket in Rocket. Like, you rocked this campaign several years ago. You had the Empire State Building lit up. And as a result, Eurordis, the whole world noticed. And Eurordis, which is the organizer of Rare Disease Day, started since 2008. And NORD, that we are the US sponsor, we sort of kicked this major campaign, created Light Up for Rare. The Eiffel Tower, Burj Khalifa, the Brandenburg Gate, the Colosseum, all over the world. NIH and FDA are lit up. We're doing this. It's really particularly important in the pandemic when you can't leave your home, or you don't often leave your home, to have an icon, something in your community that you can look at to say that, we're really projecting this in the world. It really is meaningful and touching to light up a building and have people talk about that and know that your message beyond social media, it's out there for the world, for people out there to see that we're united and that the work that we do matters. So I think that's it. Next slide, it might be the last one. Oh, actually, you can do more. If you want to, you can do the thing that I thought was the only thing you could do, which is meet your legislators, tell your story, bring awareness to your community, sign up for NORD's Rare Action Network, which is a state-level advocacy and awareness campaign. We have discussion groups and all sorts of activities. Next slide, please. And scene. Thank you so much. I'm going to take my show to Broadway. That's entertainment. Thank you, guys. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate it. I can hear the clapping. Thank you.